But this is going to be a relaxed meeting or a relaxed talk. I'm just going to give an overview of what my time at Southeastern was like, some of the successes, some of the failures. Hopefully, some of you guys can relate to some of that. And then kind of talk about Amazon, my experience there, what I do, try to dispel some of the myths about Amazon. And then, I'm going to open it up to questions kind of early. That way, if there's anything anybody wants to know, y'all can ask. So about me, like Dr. Bonnie said, I graduated spring of 2017. I was at Southeastern for 4 years, so pretty quick timeline from high school to graduation. After graduation, I worked at the U.S. Naval Research Lab. I worked there for about a year and a half, and then went to Baker Hughes, which is an oil and gas company, for a year and a half. Now I'm at Amazon. I'm a software development engineer. I'm technically just entry level, but entry level at Amazon can be different than entry level at other places. So real quick, the objectives of this lecture. If anyone freshman in computer science or any graduating seniors? All right. Well, the objective was to encourage any students who feel like maybe they don't belong or maybe feel like they had a rough semester. Try to show that one rough semester isn't necessarily the end of it. Then share some of my stories from Southeastern and again, give a glimpse into life at Amazon. So while I was at Southeastern, these were kind of like the big things. I was the outstanding graduating senior in computer science. I actually have this at the top. One of my favorite memories is Dr. Powell meeting my mom and dad, and he actually made my mom cry because he said such nice things about me. I was the president of the ACM. In 285, I worked on the sustainability dashboard for the Sustainability Center with Seth, and we actually got to present that to the president of the university. 411, we had a web service that you could send a voice recording to. It would tell you whether or not it detected certain phrases so that you could use it to, one of the examples we had was if you said 5050, it would turn a light bulb red and blue as if it was like a cop light. And in 375, we had the idea of it was a Predator cannon, like from the movie Predator, where it could use computer vision to detect faces or detect an object and aim towards it and then fire off like a Nerf dart. A little bit more about that. That was somewhat a success, somewhat a failure. And then also internships at Complete Medical Solutions, which is electronic health record company in Baton Rouge, and at the U.S. Naval Research Lab. But highlights mean nothing if you don't know some of the lowlights. And honestly, the lowlights are funner to talk about. So before Southeastern, my first year of high school, my teacher had an unorthodox teaching style. He would stand in front of everybody and just dictate a program. So it would be as if I'm standing here without this computer screen or without this projector screen and saying, all right, now you're gonna type public static main array args. And that was how I learned. So needless to say, my beginnings, I got C's and D's. You see those successes and realize like when I started, it was pretty much failures. For 383, phase 2, we were tasked with writing an API. 30 minutes before code freeze, I had the brilliant idea to add dependency injection to our services and wound up breaking everything. So for our presentation, we stood up there and said, we have nothing in front of everyone at Invoke. That was rough. For 375, the final presentation, with the Predator cannon, we actually went to build the Nerf gun contraption ourselves. We're not mechanical engineers. What wound up happening is the computer vision worked. It was able to detect an object, when it went to rotate, it fell off the table and broke on the floor in front of everyone. So we weren't able to really show off too much of that. And then junior and senior year, Seth and I, we actually opened a business. We were profitable, but at least for me, I don't think I had the maturity level to really run a business, and we wound up driving away one of our big clients. And that was, we wound up having to shut down the business. And yeah, you see, President ACM, you think everything was perfect. No, I'm human, just like everyone else. And whenever you fail and you learn and you succeed, eventually you get to graduate. This, me, Seth, Nicholas Moran, if you've met him, you know him. And then after graduation, we get into the after years. So right after graduation, started working full-time at NRL in countermine warfare, pretty much developing web services to track mines in the oceans and the waters. That was very interesting. While I was there, I was a junior team lead. So part of my responsibility was, leading the team and making adjustments to kind of like our processes to make us more efficient. But eventually I decided to leave and I went to Baker Hughes, which was, their offices were located in New Orleans. And there I worked on Plant Operations Advisor, or the acronym we call it POA. The idea of that was all these oil rigs in the Gulf, they have all these sensors, all these systems, and they're constantly collecting data. And we wanted to be able to, specifically for preventive maintenance, they could see like, oh, usually whenever this metric hits this threshold, it means this part needs to be cleaned out. And that was the goal. Towards the end of 2019, they were partnering with a startup in Silicon Valley, and they wouldn't outright tell us that they were going to lay us off, but there were weird signals. So they would say something like, oh, hey, you need to take this HackerRank test in order to do this training with the company we're working with. But they wouldn't answer the question, what happens if you fail the HackerRank test? So you put two and two together, realize that things were going bad. And eventually they did tell us, which was kind of a weird, surreal moment where one day they tell us, hey, you're not going to be able to work here anymore, or you have to find jobs within the company. But now let's all go outside to the bar and we'll pay for all your liquor and drown your sorrows for you. So yeah, that was interesting. And then April 2020, 1 month after the world shut down, interviewed with Amazon. That was probably the most stressed I had ever been. The phone screen, there's a phone screen, which that was fine. Then it was a 4-round interview, 1 hour back to back with, there was only a 30-minute break for lunch. So that was very intense. I had interviewed for a higher role, but they down-leveled me to an entry level because they said I met the leadership qualities they wanted. Those are the leadership qualities that I really got from Southeastern. So I started in May 2020 and working on the help and feedback pages for Amazon's phone apps. So if you go into the Alexa, Prime Video, Music, Kindle, if you know what Amazon Glow is, there's that, Amazon Luna, all of those we work on. We make the help and feedback pages for it. Also, I work on digital returns for digital products, so ebooks, movie purchases. Recently, we offered returns for things like Kindle Unlimited subscriptions. And we also work on a bunch of devices. Later this year, I'm going to work on Fire TV. I've worked with Fire tablets, and we have worked with Alexa devices as well. Next up, these are some screenshots. If you look at this, it does seem kind of basic, but this is actually a pretty complex system because we have to service, we have to be able to search for content. We have to, have be able to call customer service or present this landing page here. And all of this has to be able to be translated for languages all around the world. Content has to, some languages you read right to left, so we have to be able to switch that. And pretty much any of this content we can change within a day. So that's like those systems are pretty complex, and they're fun to work on. And then Amazon itself is kind of interesting because every team is responsible for their own products. What that translates to is about once every other month, each developer will be on call for a week. So that means if anything happens overnight to your service, if your service goes down, you get paged, you're woken up, you have to go see what happened, try to address it. Actually, a few weekends ago, I was on call and there was an issue with Alexa, and we were getting 100 times our normal traffic for for the Alexa help pages, and pretty stressful because the answer wound up being there's nothing we could do. Which sometimes that's how it is. You just you wake up at 3 in the morning, you realize there's nothing you can do, so you shut off your pager and go to sleep. Metrics are huge when we make decisions. For my team, the big thing is contact reduction, which that is how many customer contacts we reduce. So if whenever they have phone calls, email, chat, we want to reduce the burden for them. So that's kind of our big thing. But we play a balancing act where we don't want to completely remove all contacts, because there is a need to have them still interact with customers. There's always going to be for a customer to interact with a human, so we do have to play around that a little bit. Engineers are expected to do a little bit of everything. I've done networking, programming. I've done some QA on our own stuff. We run our own automated tests that we've written. We also have a QA team that handles that. Engineers are the drivers of features. If something isn't, if there's another team that you need to help you with something, there's not a third person who's going to go and talk with them for you. It's up to you to work with them to get yourself unblocked. Also, there's a lot of internal tooling. We have our own paste bin. We have our own diff checker. Pretty much, if you can think of a tool that you've used, we have an internal version of it. And then also, your experience can vary from team to team. I know some teams, they can have a lot of stress. My team is luckily not like that. I've heard stories of, there's one guy who switched our team where they're on call, they would have 2 people on call. One person would deal with all of the non-major issues, and the other person would deal with all the major issues. And the person who would deal with major issues, they would have up to 80 major tickets come in. So it means 80 times during the week their phone was blasting at them to drop everything, go fix it. But that's not the experience for everyone. My team, we get one major issue probably every other month. So it's really, that's when it plays into the team maintains their own products, because you're encouraged to make sure that your on-call isn't brutal, basically. And then, Southeastern prepared me for this because the big thing with the project classes with clients, that really drove the customer obsession that Amazon loves. Amazon has these leadership principles. If you're ever interested in working at Amazon, you'll find out about them. Customer obsession is one of the highest ones, where it's, whatever you work on, customer is number one. Working in 285, 383, 411, thinking about the client, that's prepared me for that. Also, Southeastern is the perfect blend of hands-on and theoretical, where project classes where they're hands-on, Dr. McDowell, Dr. Powell, Dr. First, they really built the theoretical base, just to kind of break into somewhere like Amazon. Also, just having the supportive environment of the staff here. If I didn't have the support of Dr. Powell or all the other professors, when my 375 project breaks on the floor, then I would have never had the confidence to go work on stuff at Amazon. And also just all the different technologies that we work on at Southeastern. Amazon has a lot of internal stuff that you have to learn on the fly. So being able to have that adaptability from Southeastern really worked. And then I guess now we can open up to questions if anybody wants to know anything about about Amazon or my experiences at Southeastern.
When it comes to building out your career path at Southeastern, I know it's probably a very difficult choice to move out. What were your driving factors for making the decision to go Amazon?
For me, one was the compensation. Amazon, if anybody doesn't know, Amazon is very competitive with their compensation. You can look up the numbers online. Also, the prestige. I don't want to say part of it was pride, but working where I was working and them kind of signaling that they were going to lay us off. Part of it was like, why are they laying me off? Amazon is wanting me, and it was a hard decision because at the time my mom, she was actually out of state, and I had called her and I was apologizing to her because I was like, I'm sorry, I have to leave from home to chase this, but she said like, you have to do what's best for you, and at the time it seemed like Amazon was the best. Also, there was an additional layer because it was during the pandemic, but yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the process? I know you said it was intense, 4 hours. Like, what was the content? Was it more technical, or was it more them trying to get your personality fit for the position, or a little bit more?
So it's actually 50-50. So you'll spend for the hour 30 minutes just going over, I don't want to say cultural fit, but Amazon, the way they phrase it is they want to make sure you fit their peculiar culture. That's with the leadership principles. So they ask you for, anecdotes from your previous work experience where they want to make sure that you fit kind of what they want. And then after that, for 30 minutes, they're grilling you on the technical side. A lot of them are like data structures and algorithms questions. And for my interview, I had a system design one, which is more like free form, but that I didn't really have a lot of experience with that. So that was a little stressful. But the other thing that Amazon's unique for is that they have someone called a bar raiser during your interview, and they can kind of be, during your interview, if someone seems a little adversarial to you, like they're really pushing you to answer, or like they're challenging you, that's the bar raiser, and they're making sure that you fit.
So it's by design.
It's by design, exactly. Seth?
Like it also said Seattle or DC or Arlington or
Well, the original interview loop, I didn't get selected for the original team. I think they were based in Seattle. So they then put me into a queue basically where any other team could pick me up if they wanted. At the time, the two teams, one was in Seattle, one was in Austin. Austin was closer to my parents, so went with Austin.
have yourself questions.
I think a big thing was the kind of like the outside pressure that the industry coming to the project classes, that kind of caused a little bit more anxiety. I think if I could tell myself as a freshman, I'd say like, hey, it's gonna be all right. Those are good experiences. This is still a learning environment. It's okay to mess up and then pick yourself up.
Yes, participating in areas.
So I haven't, but I've been trained to do it. At my level, the interviews I would be included in are just phone interviews. So there's like 45 minutes. And I think if you're in the phone interview, you just submit your feedback to the wider group and then they take it into account. Any other questions? No. Oh, well, one more question.
So, smoothies and burgers, say,
The vibe from a software dev perspective, I would say it's closest to the Navy, the Naval Research Lab, like just for like the scale of the technical problems we're working on, and sort of, you know, you're in charge of your own fate kind of there. But as far as like the support side, so having you know, a project manager or a TPM or QA, I would say it's closer to the Baker Hughes, which they were trying to get more towards. They were in a transitory period where they were trying to become more like a tech company. So they were building up that support staff. At the time, the Navy didn't really have all like the extra support.
Is there anything that surprised you that you're expecting?
Probably how nice everyone was, because if you can read a lot of articles online and they can paint the picture that, you know, first day if you mess up you're gone. Like one of my first days, I was working on my own cloud machine because we all have our own cloud machines, and I needed to update it. And there's a button that says publish to prod, and my brain was like, oh my god, if I click this, I'm gonna take down Amazon. So like there was that was also kind of surprising where some things aren't completely clear. So a lot of it's done on the fly.
Maybe there's something saying some does that in support of more of the. Have you ever thought of that?
Yes, definitely. Like there's definitely things that I'm conflicted about, but I don't know if I'm just telling myself this, but the way I kind of counter that is, you know, the team I'm on, the organization I work in, we primarily deal with digital products. And the work I'm doing is to make someone else's job easier. Someone who's usually on the phone or in a chat with a customer who might be irate, might be badgering them. And my work is trying to reduce that for them. So definitely, yes, to answer your question. Maybe. Now that I'm older and I feel like I'm a little bit more mature in that regard, I've thought about becoming an entrepreneur, rebuilding We Made It Tech. That was the name of the company that we had. Anything else? No. And if you want to reach out to me, if you want to send a resume, these are my cats. I mentioned them in my bio. You can email me at beckerty@amazon.com. This is Mifa on here, and Sigma is on the left. Yeah.
One is a jerk and one is very affectionate. Is that the case?
Yes. Yeah,
Which one's the jerk?
take a guess.
The one on the left?
No,
I'm
she's the jerk. Yeah. Sigma will cuddle all day, and then Mifa will come just bite on her to move her. All right. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you, Tyler. Thanks everyone for coming. This was our last DLS for this semester.